Alright, so welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be replacing flywheel bearings on a Warrior 350. I'm going to take y'all along through the process. Alright, so I'm going to show you first what the bike is doing. It can be two things. It can either be the starter clutch or the bearings that go behind the actual stator flywheel. So we're replacing the bearings because we know that's the issue. Alright, so if you want to avoid spilling as much oil as possible, and unless you want to do an oil change to your bike, I would advise you to lift up the bike up on the side, and I would get like a stand or something that's high enough. Lift it up. Alright, so the tools that you're going to need is a 17mm, 5mm Allen, an 8mm, a ratchet, extension, and also a Tusk 35mm by 1.5 stator flywheel removal tool. This is going to be very handy. And also, if you have power tools, this would be good to have. I like having this Milwaukee because this last setting right here, you actually can just hit each bolt and it won't over tighten it. It'd be just perfect. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is remove the 4 screws that go around this cover to hold it on, but this bike is missing 2. Alright, so once you get done with that, then you're going to need to take off the 17mm nut, bolt that goes on there. And I also forgot to mention on the tools, you also need a flathead screwdriver. Alright, so after you get that off, then you're going to need your 8mm and your extension to pull off the bolts that go around. And when you're doing this, I also like having a piece of cardboard box with a whole bunch of screws in it to where you can lay out the screws so they all be in the right spot when you put it back together. Alright, so now once you get them all loose, then you want to grab your cardboard box with all your screw holes. And also, don't forget to have an oil pan underneath the bike. So after you get done pulling the screws out, normally I like to use a rubber mallet and tap the actual cage right here. That way you can try to at least save the gasket, because sometimes it'll pull off easy when you tear the gasket. But if you tap it, it'll keep the gasket in place. Alright, so once you get done removing that cover, then you're going to need your Tusk flywheel removal tool and also a 17mm socket. Alright, so once you get screwed down all the way, you want to grab your 17 and your impact, screw it down, well, tighten it down. If not, if you don't have an impact, grab your ratchet, and you might need a progressor wrench to hold the actual flywheel removal tool to where it won't move, or you can stick the bike in gear and have somebody hold the brake. Having this tool so handy. Alright, so after you get done pulling that off, then you're going to need your flathead screwdriver to get the half-moon key out of the flywheel. Out of the crankshaft. Alright, so after you get that off, then you're going to be able to pull the actual flywheel off. So in our case, the actual flywheel bearing is cooked. Make sure when you pull these off, make sure you get all the bearing material out of here. So in our case, the bearing actually fell apart. So I got my magnet right here. I'm just trying to get out all the little metal fragments. Alright, so after you get all the little bearing material out of there, then you can finally grab your new parts. I had got these pieces from off of Rocky Mountain ATV. I'm not sponsored, but this place is actually a very good place to order OEM parts from and aftermarket parts. And also, They also give like a schematics, and you can also place or buy OEM parts from off of there. See, that's the bearing that I bought, and also the little thrust washer. So I'm gonna get to it. All right, now that you got your new parts, here's the new bearing, double roller, and here is your new little thrust washer. So thrust washer goes on first, then your bearing, then the actual flywheel, boom. Alright, so now once you get done with that, then you want to put the half moon key in, and then also to remember, when you install that key, you want it to be at an angle and not straight, because if not, you'll mess up this key itself. Then you're gonna need a new one, and then the actual stator wheel won't go on flush. Alright, so now after you install the keyway, then you want to throw your actual magnet flywheel on. Make sure you align the groove up with the key.
Go.
Alright, so after you throw that on, if you didn't damage the gasket around it, then you'll be able to throw the stator cover back on, tighten everything back up. So in our case, we got lucky and the gasket stayed together. So we'll be able to throw the cover back on and then put all the screws in, start it up and ride. Alright, so now once you get the cover back on and put all your screws back in the right spot, grab your 8mm with your socket and extension. And I like using this Milwaukee Impact because it got this feature right here to where it won't strip out the bolts. So here, come here, I'll show you. So I can hold the trigger all the way down and the impact itself will stop, and that's actually the perfect tension for these screws. Alright, so once you get the stator cover on and all bolted up, then you want to grab your center screw and the actual plug piece, screw, and your 17mm socket right on it. And also your impact. After you get done with that, then you want to grab your Yamaha cover and your 5mm Allen. That's basically it.